Hello there, this is SIMUS from SIMUS Film Entertainment and welcome to a new Speedrender video, which is kind of a weird one because I didn't have really loads of footage, so instead of making a really short 30-second Speedrender video, I decided to make a long 10-minute long video with a voiceover, which might be interesting for you because this gives me the opportunity to explain every single step I'm doing in very close detail. I started off in a program called Raw Therapy, where you can edit raw images from a camera and convert them into JPEG images, which Blender is able to work with. I photographed a pizza during my holiday because my vision for this image was to have Arbiter 617, the host of this Black Plasma Community Render Challenge, to be lying on a huge pizza, kinda smeared all over with tomato sauce, just as if you would have bathed in this pizza. So far so good. I adjusted the render settings in Blender to make the image match with the Blender internal camera and made the whole thing as a background for the camera, which made it easier for me to work with the image because the image is always laid behind the camera. I imported the Black Plasma Studios rig by Pixel and threw an Arbiter 617 skin onto it. Of course I had to adjust the eye and the eyebrow color and pose him a little bit. Also, I blended out the relationship lines because it was really difficult to work with it if you've got always these weird pointed lines all over your rig. The posing for this was really easy, so I'll have some music playing whilst you watch this. And here we go, Arby is finally lying on the pizza in a very weird and awkward position, so it was time to go on and change the lighting around a little bit. First step was of course to make the whole thing transparent so that the 3D layer could be laid over the 2D layer, so the photo later on in the post-production. I lighted the whole scene up a little bit and used the plane with the new shadow catcher feature of Blender to catch the shadows of our character. I had to move him down a little bit so that he doesn't float over the plane but touches it correctly, because otherwise the shadows would have looked a little bit weird. The actual lighting itself was done by two little point lights that were dotted around him. At the beginning they both threw a pretty hard shadow, so I adapted the settings so that the shadow was a little bit softer. I also had to look out that the lighting itself matches with the lighting of the photo, so I took a look at the fork and the knife and looked where the shadows were, so I could adjust the shadows of a 3D scene pretty easily. Next up on our list for making super awesome speedrender images was extruding the rig. Just as with posing, I'll have some music playing whilst you watch this. And hooray, our rig is now finally fully extruded. One thing that was definitely missing was adding the subsurface scattering effect, meaning that the light that usually just shines onto the surface of Arbiter 617's skin is now falling through his skin and making this cool glow effect, kinda as if the skin itself would be lighted from the inside. There I experimented around with some settings and the subsurface color itself until I noticed that the first setting was already the best, and I went on to rendering. I rotated our little shrunken Arbiter 617 around its own Z-axis a little bit to make him look more as if he had fallen onto the pizza. Whilst rendering our first attempt, I jumped into the node editor and started a little bit of compositing. I overlaid the image with the render result and added a few nodes, for example the scale node, so that our Arbiter 617 was really shrunken and not way too big. The most important node was definitely the lens distortion node, which adds a little kind of tunnel view with some happy hippie rainbow effect on the edges. Last but not least, I added a little glow effect to make the whole image a little bit more soft. For the final part of creation, I jumped into Photoshop. What I wanted to do there were some little effects on our Minecraft character, like a little bit of tomato sauce smeared all around him and some cool glow and cute eye effects. Just as with posing and extruding, the music is playing. Enjoy this, and I'll see you when we take a look at the final result. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the final results. Believe me, I don't want to hear the word shrunken ever again. Well, I hope you liked this. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, visit my second channel where you can find some cool real life film stuff, write your thoughts about this in the comments, and I'll see you in next video. Goodbye!